So the first question there said, write down the coordinates of the fourth vertex in each of the following, in each of the figures given below. So they wanted us to make a square with this first one. So in order to make a square with this first one, I needed to find the next vertex. If I put the red dot down here, it wouldn't make a square. If I put the red dot down here, it wouldn't make a square. If I put the red dot there, it wouldn't make a square. If I put the red dot here, it wouldn't make a square. So you need to be able to see, how can I make a square out of this? And in order to make a square out of that, we need to put the red dot here. Okay? And you can see there that they have the same x value. So here they have the same x value. And here they have the same y value. Okay? For the next one, you need to make a rectangle. So obviously my x values are going to have to be the same. So my x values are going to have to be the same. And my y values are going to have to be the same if it is a rectangle. So we can see there where they intersect, and that is at -1, 2, or -1, -2. Okay, so that first one was quite straightforward. We'll have a look there at the next one. So using the given figure, write down the letters and coordinates of each of these. Okay, 2 points in the first quadrant. So if you had to pick 2 points in the first quadrant, you could have picked either A or B. Okay, so A, which was, let me just put in what A is. A in this case is 5, 2, and B in this case is 2, 4. Okay. For the next one, it asks you to find 2 points in the third quadrant. Okay. Now, before we go any further, I'm just going to fill in a little reminder here for myself. So, in terms of which one is which quadrant, this is the first, this is the second, this is the third, and this is the fourth. And we know that from what we did the last day, okay? So 2 points in the third quadrant. So 2 points in the third quadrant. And if I was going to give 2 points, I would give J and G. Can you give F? Can you give K? I can't see why you shouldn't. But like, you should be able to give them because they do seem to fall between the second and the first, but and between the third and the fourth. So technically speaking, I'd imagine that would satisfy being in the third. But if I was doing this in exam, I'd probably use the 2 most obvious ones. And the 2 most obvious ones there are J and G. So J and G, I'm just going to fill in what they are. So J and G, J has an x value of -4 and a y value of -2. And G is the next one. G has an x value of -2 and a y value of -3. Okay. 2 points in the fourth quadrant. So again, we're looking at the fourth quadrant, this one. Now, again, you could probably pick them. You could argue that they do fall in the fourth quadrant, but I think it's best to pick the most obvious ones. And the most obvious ones there are L and H. So L has an x value of 2 and a y value of -1 because it's gone down. And H has an x value of 4 and a y value of -1 as well, because like we say, the x value was the x value was 4, the y value was -1 because it's coming down 1. So the x value always comes first. I think there was 1 or 2 people that missed the first few lessons. The x value always comes first, the y value comes second. The x-axis is this one, and the y-axis is the one that points up the sky. Okay, the next question there said 2 points on the x-axis. So to find 2 points on the x-axis, we know that this here is the x-axis. So 2 points on the x-axis are going to be F and I. So for part IV, we'll have F, which is -3 and 0, and I, which is 4 and 0. because if you think about it, you're coming across 4, but you're not going up or you're not going down, so it's going to be 0. And the last one there is question 5. So question 5 asks us for 2 points on the y-axis. So for question 5, 2 points on the y-axis, 2 points on the y-axis, and if you look at the y-axis, the one that points up the sky, you've got C and K. So I'm going to put in C there and K, and they want to know what coordinates they are. So I have to put in the coordinates. So what I'll do is I'll put in the x coordinate first and the y coordinate second. First C, the x coordinate, okay, the x value is going to be 0. So I'll be putting in 0 for my x value. For the y value, I'll be putting in 1. For K, my x value is 0 and my y value is minus 2. So 0 and minus 2. So with question 5, in which quadrant does each of the following points lie? So this is just, again, it's just about labeling points. So I'm just going to do this. I'm going to use this here to help me. So if I look at the first one, I'll highlight the first one in green. So 2, 3. 2, 3 is going to fall in here where 2 on the x-axis, 3 on the y-axis is there. So this is going to be point A, you could say, with this green one. So obviously that's going to be in the first quadrant. So the first quadrant is my answer there. The next one there is going to be 4, -1. So go to 4 and go to -1. And so this will be point B. Okay. So obviously that's the fourth quadrant. So I can put in the fourth quadrant there for point B. For point C, it's -3, -1, which falls here. So that there again is going to be in the third quadrant. So my answer there for that one will be the third. And the last one there is -2 and -4. So if I go to -2 and I go to -4, that will give me point D, which is also in the third quadrant. Okay. And you can see that there. I'll just highlight that as well, just so you know that's all part of question 5. Okay. So question 5 is the highlighted part. So with question 6, it's very important that you know which one is x and which one's y before you start. So y points up the sky, x goes across. And you've obviously got your x value first, y value second when you're labeling a point. With these ones, so we'll have a quick look. So let's just look and see. So the very first one there will be 2, 0, right? So 2 on my x-axis. So I come across 2, and then I have to look at my y-axis. Do I go up or down? I'm going 0, so I'm staying there. So this one here is on the x-axis. The first one there is on the x-axis. The second one, 0, 3. So I go to 0 on my x-axis, and I go up 3. So that'll be around there. So 0, 3, I can see that point there falls on my y-axis. Okay, so my second answer there will be y. The third one, -3, 0. So if I go -3 at my x value, so -3 brings me back to around here, and 0, so I don't go up or down, I just stay at that point. So that's on the x-axis. The next one, 0 and -2. So if I go to 0 on my x-axis, and if I go -2 on my y, that'll bring me to about there. So I can see there that falls on the y-axis. So that's on the y-axis. And the very last one, the point 0, 0, which is here, and we've talked about the point 0, 0 before. The point 0, 0 is what we call the origin. So the point 0, 0. At that point, that falls on both the x-axis and the y-axis. So the answer there will be x and y. So both x and y. Okay, so that's question 6. So we'll move on there and we'll try question 7. So question 7 there asks us to draw the x and y axis from 0 to 5 and to plot these points. Okay, so draw the x and y axis. So we know what the x and y axis look like. Okay, they want them to go between 0 and 5. So the ones that we've looked at so far have looked like this. Okay, where we started at 0, we went up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on our x-axis. And we went up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on our y-axis. But we also went negatives. So we put in the negatives there of -1, -2, -3. We put in the negatives there of -1, -2, -3. Whereas all of the ones that we had up here were positive. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. What they've asked us to do here is they've asked us to draw the x and y axis from 0 to 5. So only from 0 to 5. They didn't want us to do any negatives. So they don't want us to include any negatives. So when we're asked to draw this, that's just a quick sketch that I did there. But when I'm actually doing this in my copybook, I would do it like this. Let me just zoom in on that, because we don't need all that now. So when you're doing this in your copybook, I'd expect you to do it like this. So start off by finding a point. Okay, so let me just get the right color there for you. So let's do this in black. Okay, so the way I do this is I'd start off by finding a point. So for instance, I would find this point here. Okay, now what I do then is I give myself a bit of room. So I'll say I'm going to start 5 here, 4 here, 5 here, 4 here, 3 here, 2 here, 1 here, and then obviously 0 is the bottom. And I need to go out for our 5 positive. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And I'm going to extend that out like that. Now all I need to do is to get my ruler and to draw in the lines. So draw in the lines going from here down to here, and from here across to here. And then I've it drawn, so then I'm ready to go, right? So now you have it drawn. Label your x-axis, label your y-axis. So we label the y pointing up the sky is obviously there. The x going across is obviously there. And then we need to fill in those points. Okay, so that sketch that we did earlier helped us to have an idea of what we're doing, but we're really focused on doing the actual one. So at this stage, you should have drawn the axis, the x-axis, from 0 to 5, the y-axis from 0 to 5, and you should now be able to plot these points 2, 1, so come across 2, okay, 2 on the x-axis, 1 on the y. So this here would be 2, 1, because we always put the x value first. Let's just remember that. X value first, y value second. So 2, 1, I'm going to plot that point there, and that's going to be there, and I label that 2, 1. Okay. The next one is going to be 5, 1. So I'm going to come across 5 on my x-axis, So across 5 on the x-axis, and you're going up 1. So 5 and 1 is this point here, 5, 1. So we'll label that, put in 5, 1. So label your dot 5, 1. Okay, the next one there, I'll just make that a bit tighter, 5, 1. So the next one there is going to be 5 and 4. So 5, 4 is the next one. So we come across 5 on the x-axis. So our x value is 5, so come across 5. And we need to go up a y value of 4. So we need to come up 4. So you can see there that that's going to be the point there, because that will be 5, 4. So I label that 5, 4. Okay, 5, 4. So that's those 3 points plotted. What are the coordinates in the 4 corner of the square? So this is going to be a square. So if this is going to be a square, we need to look at it and see how does this square fit in. So I've got a square there. This is 3 units in length. This is 3 units in length. I expect that to come up 3 units, and I expect this to be across 3 units. So that means that my next point will have to be here. So if that's the next point, I need to fill that in. And that is there. And I need to label that. And if I'm going to label that, it's going to be my x value is 2, my y value is 4. Okay, so that's all of them. 5, 1, I'll just make that a bit bigger. Okay, so that's that question done.